Hello there. I just came across this what I found pretty interesting article on the American Prospects website written by David Dayen detailing this vegan food company, No Evil Foods. They claim to be, progressive and give off this era that they're, woke and all that stuff, but they're actually engaging in union busting efforts. And we see through David Dayen's reporting the disastrous results that their union busting efforts had on the people that work for them. So let me put the link in the chat. It's also in the description. But I mean, Jesus Christ, it just really goes to show that there is no such thing as ethical consumption under capitalism. This, vegan company that's supposedly, looking out for the well-being of the planet and the animals by, making these plant-based products, which I don't think I've had any of the No Evil Food stuff, which is good, especially after hearing this. But I mean, Jesus Christ, again, they're putting out this image that they care about the planet, and the animals and people, but then on the other hand, they're engaging in this union busting efforts and having these mandatory trainings where people have to go hear about how horrible unions are. So let's do a little share screen and check out the article here. Let's see. Here we go. Boom. It should be this one. Anatomy of an anti-union meeting. How No Evil Foods, plant-based meat company, squashed a union drive. It's just so funny, the No Evil Foods, but what they're doing to their workers there is inherently evil. Like, this is the talking points that they were using. He was able to get the recordings actually from these anti-union mandatory meetings that No Evil Foods held. And this is kind of some of the themes that ran through it. Just trust us. You give up your voice if you join a union. These are not your values. These are these, weirdos at the union. You don't want those values. Unions are big business. Information from both sides. They're going to come after you. So that's pretty well done there. I like that. Oh. Also eating little breakfast action here. Now back to the article. Mike Wolyansky began to speak in a practice rehearsed fashion that most resembled the closing arguments from a prosecutor. So the CEO of a plant-based meat company that brands itself strongly left-wing, its product's name include the vegan chicken Comrade Cluck. I mean, just think about that. They're using labels like El Zapatista and Comrade Cluck, putting that on their products, but then behind the scenes, they're engaging in this anti-union campaign against their workforce. Jesus Christ. How disgusting. This is from back in February 2020. Here's from the CEO. The only thing that could get in the way, he explained, of it expanding was if they voted to unionize with the UFCW. Jesus, like, how disgusting. It's a very real risk that having a union at No Evil Foods will greatly impact our ability to continue raising capital, Wolyansky intoned, the self-described leftist singing off the song sheet of Cold Hard Capitalism. I had one of our current investors say this week, I've seen hundreds of companies come across my desk. I've never seen an investment in a unionized startup. if I was looking at this business for the first time on Run the Other, I mean, Jesus, like how completely disingenuous and disgusting. I mean, Jesus Christ. Whew. So yeah, blaming the it wasn't management, it was the investors. Investors are saying, "Oh, voting to unionize would be so bad." And due to all this, the company's campaign against it was voted down. Wow, look at that. How disgusting. No Evil Foods had the assistance of Constaggy, Brooks, Smith, and Profit management side labor firm that runs union avoidance campaigns. So instead of actually maybe, I don't know, listening to the grievances of their workers, trying to improve things, they hired this campaign that this organization that specializes in union avoidance campaigns. I mean, Jesus Christ, how disgusting. But again, it just really goes back to how there can be no ethical consumption under capitalism when you have, this profit-driven system. Even this company that claims to be left-wing, cares about the animal, the planet, and people, like, look what they're doing behind the scenes in order to remain profitable, in order to make more money for their shareholders. And then they were able to find audio recordings of these anti-union bashing meetings that No Evil Foods have. And of course, they waged an aggressive campaign to make sure nobody knew what was on it. But North Carolina, one-party consent state, making the recordings legal, making reporting on them fair use. David Day and the Prospect, nearly 5 hours of meetings in the plant between January and February 2020. So there's the CEO, and I believe that's also the co-founder and like chief creative officer or something. Look, I mean, just that whole, like, this is what you expect a little capitalist to look like at a vegan like company, right? Kind of hipster looking, like, look how cool I am, but unions suck, but look how cool I am. I got a beard, I got a hat that's kind of sideways, I'm in all black clothes, but unions suck. Take it from me. Under the guise of voter education, unions were depicted as corrupt, money-grubbing businesses that would neglect workers and tear companies apart. Workers were told that their bid for collective bargaining could lead to cuts in pay benefits when, obviously, if anything, having that power of collective bargaining at your disposal is going to lead to increased pay and benefits. I mean, Jesus Christ. God, what a bunch of fucking bullshit. But again, this stuff will always happen under a capitalist system because it's, again, even though this is like vegan food, at the end of the day, there's still a corporation that's trying to maximize profits as much as possible. And that means driving down wages and benefits and, worker rights and everything through fighting back unions, which is exactly what No Evil Foods did here in this example. Wait, go back to this one. But fucking disgusting, right? I'm going to say unions are big business. It's not our big business tactics that we're using. about how union got all this money and dues. Which the CEO makes $300,000. I mean, it's a good amount of money, but that ain't no fucking Bezos, And then they left out some factors. First of all, right to work states, which I don't agree with. Workers can opt out of dues paying. Jesus, you give up your voice. You give up your voice when you're not in a union, and you just have to try to argue for the benefits of yourself. You don't have that collective power, so you give up your voice not being in union, I think. And then they're trying to say, I don't want to sit across the table from you. I want you all next. Jesus. One of the management people. We're all the family here. We don't need to bring in these outsiders. We don't need to bring in the union that might try to fight for better pay and benefits and worker protections. We're a family here. I want to be next to you. We're family. We're a team. Jesus Christ, man. Everything starts at zero. They're gonna come after you. Again, just a bunch of anti-union propaganda and bullshit designed to confuse people and paint unions in such a bad light that they voted them down, which they did. And then once the pandemic hit, we'll see how this company, how these workers who didn't have any union protection fared, as a result. Information from both sides. Nice. These are not our values. Code words like fucking shit a lot. UFCW is out of step with their culture, claiming that the union co-opted the language. Wow, isn't that just a huge case of projection? They claim that the union co-opted the language of workers' rights and socialism. Really? Jesus Christ. So it's like a clear case of projection, because once we finish this article, I'm going to go to the company's website and see how, no, it's actually No Evil Foods co-opting the language of, workers' rights, wokeness, socialism, etc. I trust them. We're always going to be looking out, for what you need. Just trust us. Trust us. We got you. Here we go. And then let's see what happened as a result of them not having this union in place. February 13th of last year, when the NLRB, this National Labor Relations Board, tallied the votes, the union effort fizzled. A month later, the COVID pandemic led to lockdown across the country. It was a disaster for restaurants, hotels, and the hospitality industry, but a huge boost for food companies as grocery stores are flooded with customers and Instacart shoppers. The No Evil Foods facility is small, workers told in 4 smallish rooms, working in close proximity. Several were either immune compromised or had family in that condition. Without a union contract, it was up to management. It was up to management to decide how to handle the pandemic and keep workers safe. See that? It was up to management to decide to have how workers were going to be safe while working during a pandemic, as opposed to having the union say in that what is in the best interest of the workers working during this pandemic. But no, they didn't have that in place, so it's up to management. Jesus. So workers offered 3 choices, which had to be made within 24 hours. Option 1, they could quit with 3-week severance and sign an NDA, agreeing to not work in the food industry for a year, refrain from talking to the press, and absolve the company of any violations of the NLRA Act, the ADA, or the FMLA Act. There would be no option for filing for unemployment insurance in the event of a resignation. Option 2, they could quit, not sign the NDA, get no severance, and maybe come back later. Option 3, could stay with a $150 an hour pay increase in the fall, but only if workers had perfect attendance for the next 90 days. 13% took the buyout. These 2 workers started a petition, which a majority of the workers remaining signed, asking for a reconsideration regarding the 90-day perfect policy for receiving hazard pay. Reynolds started to get that odd feeling back. It's like there was solidarity in the workplace again. We're going to take the petition and march the boss, petition in hand. But the day before this was to happen, again, one of the people who developed this petition regarding, the increased pay and attendance, he was pulled off his shift and asked about the petition. Shortly thereafter, the company announced immediate raise for production employees at $225. No conditions. Reynolds wouldn't be getting it. He was fired a few weeks later for social distancing violations. Jesus. Another union organizer, Courtney Roche, was fired for violating the company's dress code. She was told her pants were too short. Sullivan would voluntarily leave shortly after, also feeling pressure that edged up to retaliation. Wow. Reynolds and Roche took their case to LNRB. And No Evil Foods paid $40,000. Company nabbed them at fault. This is very true. Rarely do you get an opportunity to see exactly how important a union job would have been to a group of workers. Would have protected these people quite a bit, right? Flyer didn't stay up for very long. On June 11th, so a little over a month ago, every remaining worker, or maybe this was June 2020, either way, every remaining worker at the North Carolina facility lost their job. No Evil Foods announced it would outsource production of its foods to a separate manufacturer in Danville, Illinois, eliminating the need for the workforce. In-house, this is the CEO, in-house manufacturing with her team was something we built, labbed, and fought very hard. Ultimately, however, for a company of our size to survive in the hyper-competitive marketplace, the co-manufacturing model required going forward. That the Discourse blog also reported that the co-manufacturer also makes meat products. Interesting. So how much of this is actually about caring for animals and how much of this is about just making as much money as you can, workers or animals, or the planet be damned? I think a little bit more of the latter, wouldn't you say? Workers are given no notice. They had found out at a staff meeting with the Tyrrell CEO. That was their last day in the job. Nobody got a severance. Health benefits were immediately canceled. CEO claimed in the meeting the company had run out of money and had to make the tough decision. But No Evil Foods wasn't shutting down. It was just outsourcing its labor. Shado in her statement made it sound like this was simply the evolution of the company. Quote, "With the next phase of No Evil Foods, we look forward to continuing to deliver delicious, sustainable foods to our customers that they can feel great about eating." The company did give workers an envelope on the way out, included a form letter of recommendation and a flyer for a job fair in Asheville. Jesus. Good. With the contract, they would have been able to negotiate over hazard pay, workplace conditions during the pandemic. They would have been warned 60 days in advance of any shuttering of the facility. Well, except that one though, small workplace under are exempt. I don't agree with that. They would have been able to work with the company and try to save their jobs, instead taking on faith that the bosses would look out for them and take care of them. The workers ended up with nothing. Jesus. Only 6.3 private sector employees are in a union. Wow. Only way to reverse this is with strong labor laws that prevent the most egregious anti-union tactics, including captive audience meetings. Yep. We don't have a whole lot. Worker protection. And then, it's real quick, just look at how this No Evil Foods paints itself on their website. Meet us. When we first started this journey, we saw a broken system that didn't serve us. We took matters into our own hands, began to educate ourselves by learning all we could in the kitchen. Here's their, edgy CEO and the other founder. Jesus. And then, right, it's already here, I guess. Co-founder, CEO, co-founder, chief creative officer. Look how edgy they are. He's got a flannel, his hat sideways. He's got red and yellow hair. And they like you, they support you. They're not going to engage in union busting efforts. Commitment to animal welfare. Well, you're doing business with a company now that makes meat products. I mean, Jesus Christ. Success of the company, vehicle to drive transformative impact on social and systemic inequalities, like union bashing, fighting union efforts at No Evil Foods. Jesus Christ, man. Let's see what they say about people. Do no evil. It doesn't really make sense, does it, with the union busting efforts that they've been engaging in? Products serving people through what? Well, No Evil Foods, but the company that they're now partnering with for their production makes animal products. Interesting. Again, just another example. Crazy hair today. No, feels good to stretch. Oh, shit. No such thing as ethical consumption under capitalism. I would say this is fairly ethical. It's just a fruit tree. Pick myself, grew myself with the help of sunshine and water. But beyond that, no ethical consumption under capitalism, even if the stuff you're getting coming from was No Evil Foods vegan company that claims to, be on the right side of social justice and these other important issues, when they're just capitalists at heart, trying to make as much profit as possible. If that means exploiting their workers, so be it. Peace. Much love. Like the video, share.